Welcome. Welcome to the recap of the Beyond Business Club because business for highly sensitive creatives, y'all, cannot just be spreadsheets and checklists and easy proven blueprints. We always have to do it our own way, and we always have to feel our emotions through it. And we always have 7 million things that we're also tracking while we build a business. So we talk about all those things here, first from a creative, holistic, universal standpoint. Then we move into a life. Is it your health? Is it your wealth? Is it your relationships that you're working on? And then we work on it in our business. And today we had some real talks about what you're really going to put down all your money on in Vegas. If you were in Vegas, what are you going to do this week? So last week we introduced ourselves to some new friends, new thoughts that can really serve you well as you double your business or double down on anything that's important to you or your people or your community or the people you serve. If you don't remember them, the two new friends I introduced you to were consistent, courageous action. And we talked about something I named it myself, the spectrum of activation, meaning we talked about this whole spectrum from being just mildly agitated or annoyed, activated, turned on, to completely triggered, and what the difference was. So go watch those replays if you forgot about those. We also have been talking about how you are always both, and you can always tap into both the essence of those speedy little competitive sperm that you came from, if you believe in the biological evolution of humans. And you also have access to the queen who chooses which sperm she is going to accept. You also have essence to being the egg. You are both the sperm and the egg. If you missed that day, there's a replay out there, and I will happily talk about sperms and eggs all day long. I think it's wonderful to reverse the story of it's all the sperm doing it. No, it's actually the egg. So we talked also about being activated and why you want to develop the skill of allowing yourself to be activated, because that means you're getting up to new things, and then reintegrating that as pure energy that maybe in the past you've lost activation energy, feeling like you were down or defeated or angry or frustrated. And then this week, I introduced you to two new friends, maybe reintroduced you for some of us, two best friends when it comes to doing anything, especially new and hard things, that will really help you stay focused and expand. And these two new best friends that I want you to consider bringing into your life, even just having talked about it this week, I've been doing it so much more. It's so helpful. They come in the form of questions, these two friends. Two simple questions that often have very straightforward answers. And kind of like flossing your teeth, some of us are now new flossers because of this week. You won't necessarily notice if you do it or don't do it on any given day, but you will totally notice the benefit if you do a little bit over time. So ask these questions and answer them for yourself quickly. You don't have to spend hours journaling. But when you lose sight of these questions, or you forget to stay focused on your purpose, or if you have a hard time answering them, I also want to talk about how life can be scary and how we need to learn how to create a bridge back to these questions so that we can get through the sad, dark times where we start asking, what's the point? Am I all alone? Is there something wrong with me? So the two simple questions are, what am I doing? And number two, why am I doing it? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? It can apply to if you are focused on a big project, doing a TED Talk, building your business, you're up to something big. It can be focused on doing the dishes. What am I doing and why am I doing it? It can be about brushing and flossing your teeth or building a whole new empire, pivoting in your career. Now, I use some examples this week because I recently helped my mom through a very tough surgery, and I have no idea why I decided that I should go through Las Vegas on my way home to culminate this very intense time in my life with Vegas. I must have forgotten the smell of smoke, the flashing bright lights, the empty stares on people's faces. I have been managing some serious emotions this week, y'all. But one of the experiences I shared with you is my sweet Uncle Dan loves the Grateful Dead. He is like the epitome of the Grateful Dead fan. He might have been the original Grateful Dead fan on the planet Earth. He has been to thousands of shows, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on packages and all of the things. But I slowly, helping Uncle Dan through this wonderful experience for him, went from I love supporting people and helping, and saw myself start going down and down until I was in complete misery and panic by the end of it. Vegas is too crowded for me. It's too smoky for me. It's too bright. It's too hot. It's too closed. And I was enclosed in this thing called the Sphere. Now, I might be the only one on the planet that isn't like, that's amazing. Everyone should go check it out. Maybe you should go check it out for like 10 minutes and then get out of there, my highly sensitive, highly creative friends. The taste, the smells, it is just, there's no getting away from it. At some point on night 3 of these concerts, where there's a bunch of happy, wiggling hippies around me, all on some very happy drugs, I felt like I couldn't make a different choice. I couldn't leave my uncle. I couldn't leave the venue. I couldn't get out of Vegas fast enough. So the first night I was able to answer, why am I here and what am I doing? Or what am I doing and why am I doing it? I was totally on board for I'm here for my uncle, to be in this experience with him. I love new experiences. I understood my what and my why. By night 2, my husband had come to check it out. He was a smart man and refused to do all 3 nights. But on night 2, I even had the I would like to experience something like this with my husband. He's never going to come back. This is a once in a lifetime sort of thing. But by night 3, I had completely lost what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I got to tell you, it was so painful. As someone who is very convicted and very clear on my purpose, usually, it was painful. So when you struggle to answer what you're doing and why you're doing it, I want to remind you that you get to choose anything that helps you get back to your what and your why. Get back to that core. And you know what I used? That third night, I used you all. Like literally the people here on this call, I thought about you. I thought about your life. I thought about your business. I thought about how I can better serve you. I was making tweaks in my head to the club. That got me back to a purpose that I fully believed in and could even believe that I would get back to eventually. So if you've ever felt like you are working really hard but not moving forward, those are 2 questions that can help. Or if you lose sight. Now, there's also, we went into this week, if you're feeling like you're getting things done, you're on the court, you are taking shots, you're doing hard things, but at the end of the day, you don't necessarily fall into bed feeling all satisfied and like you just nailed the day. I also brought up another congruent sort of side-by-side principle, thanks to Napoleon Hill. I like the way he phrases it, called definiteness of purpose. He said that is the starting point of all achievement. Anything you want to do, become. And I think it's especially important for us creative, sensitive entrepreneurs because we can see and sense and hold so many things and be pulled in so many different directions that having a definite aim and a definiteness of purpose can feel very spread thin sometimes. Y'all have families you're caring for, fur baby families you're caring for, businesses you're running. You're often in charge of keeping humans and fur babies alive even. Like the food doesn't go on the table unless you put it there. So, and we're sensing all the things all the time. So we're managing emotions, we're managing our mental stories, and they feel like things are just happening automatically. They feel like facts of our lives. So what is definiteness of purpose and how can it help you? Definiteness of purpose is a clear, emotionally charged focus. Let me emphasize, you have to feel it. I don't think sitting in that third Grateful Dead concert, if I would have just thought about what I wanted to make for dinner later or how I was going to get to the airport the next day, I don't think that would have saved me quite like y'all did and my mission here. I had to go deep into a core place. So definiteness of purpose, consider for you what your clear, emotionally charged focus right now is, what goal you have. It can be a big overarching North Star sort of personal goal, or it can be like the North Star kind of helps guide all of your actions and decisions. Or you can kind of think smaller and tap into more bite-sized pockets of purpose by asking, what am I doing right now and why am I doing it? Another caveat or a side question might be, what do I want right now and why do I want this? Very simple, because at some point, us humans, if we're lucky enough to live a long, beautiful life, we eventually get to ask ourselves, did I live a life by design or did I do it by default, waiting for the world to happen? And don't worry if you're feeling on the default path right now. The good news is that in any moment, you can shift back to living by design. And don't let any part of your brain tell you, nope, there's something wrong with me. In fact, it's always in an instant, right in one moment, that you do shift from default to design. I told you all a story of my uncle who has very much trouble walking due to hips and knees and back and other physical ailments that make him take a lot of breaks and sweat a lot. But 4 minutes before the last show, he realized he had forgotten his special Grateful Dead swag water bottle about 30 rows down in a very steep environment where there's no way I would have hurried anywhere in there. And I'm agile and swift, and I like that about myself. He is not. I know he looked at me like, will you go get my water bottle? And I pretend not to notice that look. Because no, I was not going to jump down all of, excuse me, pardon me, all these flights all the way down to get a water bottle. I did that. I'm admitting it here. I pretended not to see the look of desperation. Maybe we'll edit this part out. Anyway, Uncle Dan, with 4 minutes left to go, stood up. The whole row knew what was happening. Uncle Dan's leaving. Excuse me, pardon me. That man got down 30 rows and back up in less than 4 minutes. His definiteness of purpose in that one moment shifted from what's the point of life? The Grateful Dead are almost over to I'm getting that water bottle. And it was inspirational to watch. Like, oh my God, if that can happen, I did not know he was capable of that physically even. So if you're feeling like you're a little bit out of your definiteness of purpose, or it's hard to keep refocusing, you get to decide at any given moment, but I want to give you some scaffolding, some thoughts to also consider. I want you to start considering going, I don't want to come from shoulds. What do I, if I were to just let myself answer, what do I want from authentic desire? What do I really, really, really want? Not that you're going to go do it. Just at least allow yourself to admit you want the dang water bottle 30 rows down. Another question, especially to write down around your purpose, what you want and why you want it, what you're willing to give up in exchange for it. I know one of y'all here was willing to give up a lot to go fly around the world and pick up a human being and bring her back and care for her for the rest of her life. You had definiteness of purpose, and you still have that even when you get pulled. You're not giving up for nothing. You're even considering another one, if I remember correctly. So what you're willing to give up in exchange can help fortify you and remind you. To make it stronger, I want you to write these things down and read them out loud to you with emotion on the daily, on the regular. I've told you all there have been times when I had to read things to myself because I wasn't fortified yet. And then you start to align your actions and then your habits and even your relationships and your environment. Come in here to this club every dang day. Here's why you need it. Here's why you need to even consider definiteness of purpose. It will prevent that listless drift that I believe is a very big precursor to depression for a lot of us creatives. It'll help you slice through the overwhelm when you're saying, what do I want and why do I want it? What do I want to do about it? It'll boost your persistence. When your purpose is strong, you keep going. Builds your confidence. You start to live by your own design. I can't tell you how many teenage girls I meet with right now as one-on-one clients who it's just constant. They go, I can't write any short stories. What will my friends think? What if they don't like it? I can't wear that. I can't go out for volleyball. What will my friends think? It happens early. What will the world outside think? And I'm sitting with them going, you don't have any problems. Do all the things right now. But they got real problems in their mind, right? To help a teenage girl, anyone younger than 10 even, start to live by their own design, I believe is one of the greatest purposes for me on this planet. And as you build this in yourself, between you and you first, clarity in yourself, purpose in yourself becomes magnetic. So we started to do it with a little more light and ease. We brought in some beads, we brought in some bubble trackers. I invited you to write a first draft of your definiteness of purpose statements that you could read with conviction and emotion to answer what lights you up. What problem do you feel born to solve? Mine for a while was just, I simply want to relieve a little bit of suffering in some human every day. That was my purpose for a long time. And here's one more question I like to ask sometimes. What would you be willing to fail for again and again? I think as we age, that list gets smaller and smaller, and that is not a thing to be sad about. That's something to keep focusing on. What would you be willing to fail on again and again? You know my answer. Coming here, saying it right, saying it messy, doing it again, getting back up, doing it the next day. I'm not stopping. And then today we wrapped up with some bubbles and beads. We talked about definiteness of purpose, courageous action, and we started to make decisions. But I did want to say one more note on consistency, that consistency part of consistent, courageous action. We talked about how consistency builds momentum, your own self-trust, and your own self-identity. And it's really, consistency is never about big sweeping. I did the whole thing. It took me 6 hours. It's about tiny, 1 degree, gentle, sensitive changes that eventually the results get loud. It's never about perfection. It's about simply being in motion every day. So, success. To start defining success as the sum of all your tiny efforts. Every time you floss, it's a tiny effort repeated day in and day out. So what have you even done in your past that you did consistently that you can even look back now and when I didn't do it perfectly, but I kept at it, and that made an impact in my life? We also redefine discipline for us sensitive souls. We define discipline as not a forced thing, but a thing that comes from faith. We decide that we love something, that we're going to learn something, and we're going to keep coming back and have faith that it's going to build. So discipline is more as a devotional sense to us for our purpose, our healing, our vision, and structures around that will support creativity and not suppress it, like you have to practice 30 minutes a day or you have to sit down and do this. That doesn't work for us sensitive creatives. So I gave you some other things about how to do. We talked about a lighthouse ritual and anchors, but for now, let's kind of pause there, and I will leave you with this thought. The difference between, or to really know that there's a difference in you between fear that tells you, wait, pause here, this is scary, I don't know if we should do this. That's fear that's trying to protect you. Knowing the difference in your body of fear that's trying to protect you and still being able to move forward anyway, versus the fear that paralyzes you and does not allow you to move or make a decision or try something and fail. Because feeling defeated, like you failed at something, is usually a sign that new stuff is happening. You're on the right track, Something new is about to come out, and fear will disguise itself as defeated or depressed or alone right before it starts to work. So courage is taking that action without needing fear to be gone. Or you don't need to be excited to do the thing. You just need to remember that you committed and you have definiteness of purpose. So when you feel stuck, you can feel that as a sacred pause and keep going. When you feel defeated, you can make that mean that your old self is actually starting to get on board for the next level. So I want to leave you with this question. When you feel discouraged, come on and tell me, what do you wish someone, I choose me, could be there to remind you of? What is your purpose? What is your why? And how do you want to keep remembering that day to day? And what action do you want to take this week between now and this time next week? We made some commitments today, and I'm already excited to hear if Kat is flossing her dang teeth. I don't know if it happened yet today, but Michael's got some stuff and we could get you in on some stuff. So let's pause there.